When is information valuable? The Monty-Hall problem. Welcome. In this lecture I'm going to introduce you to the Monty-Hall problem, explain the solution, and explain its relevance to the value of information. A point I will reiterate is the synonymity of medical imaging and information. Imaging is not simply pretty pictures. It provides information. I will use the phrase value of imaging and value of information interchangeably. The conundrum is based on a talk show, Let's Make a Deal, hosted by Monty Hall. In that show, the contestant got to choose a door out of 3. Behind one of the doors was the prize. Behind the other 2 doors was a goat. Yes, you heard that right, a goat. Once the contestant made a choice, Hall opened the door with a goat. Now the contestant had a choice to stick with the original choosing or change. Should the contestant change? This question was posed to Marilyn Vos Savant, who wrote a regular column, Ask Marilyn, by a reader. Marilyn Vos Savant was, of course, the person with the highest IQ ever recorded. And the reader asked what would she do in that situation. Would she change? Let's recap the problem a little bit. The chances of encountering the prize are about 33%, 1 in 3. Hall reveals a door behind which is a goat. The question is this: are the odds of attaining the prize 1-to-1 on changing or higher? If the chance of getting a prize on changing is no greater than 50%, it's as good as a coin toss, and therefore useless. Indeed, many people think that the odds remain at 50-50, but that's the wrong answer. The odds are actually 2-to-1 in favour of getting the prize on changing. People should, on aggregate, change. So counterintuitive is the answer to this problem that many readers, including academic statisticians, wrote to Marilyn Savant, questioning whether she actually got this particular puzzle correct and her IQ after all. But of course Marilyn was correct. So let's explain this conundrum very, very basically, because I think its understanding is very valuable to understanding the value of information and what information actually is. Let us consider scenario 1. You don't change. You choose door 1. In reality, it doesn't matter. It's still 1 in 3 chance. Let's say that the prize is behind door 1, possibility A. Hall will reveal door 2. By sticking to your guns, you end up winning. Good stuff. Now let's say that the prize is behind door 2. You've chosen door 1. Hall is going to reveal door 3. You stick to your guns, and on this occasion you lose. Let's say that the prize is behind door 3. Hall reveals door 2. You stick to your guns, and again you lose. So you register a win of 1 in 3 and a loss of 2 in 3 by not changing. Let's consider the second option. You do change. Again, you've chosen door 1. The prize is actually behind door 1, and Hall reveals door 2. You move to door 3. You lose. But see what happens on the other 2 occasions. Prize is behind door 2. Hall reveals door 3. And you actually move to door 2, and therefore you win. Third scenario. The prize is behind door 3. This time Hall must reveal door 2, the only other door with the goat. And you move to door 3, and therefore you win. So you can see in the scenario that you change, you have won on 2 out of 3 occasions and lost on 1 out of 3 occasions. Okay, so you'll wonder, what does this all have to do with information? Well, the Monty-Hall conundrum is all about information. And the key point is that the information was provided. How so? By revealing the door with the goat, Hall has reduced the possibilities from 3 to 2. That might not sound like a lot, but imagine if you reduce the possibilities from 1,000 to 2. That would be a lot of information. The point here is not the scale, but the principle in kind. Then the question is, how was the information valuable? It was valuable because, first, it was purposeful. It was not random. Hall revealed the door with the goat. He didn't just pick any random door. And in that sense, bias, systematic departure from the truth, is also information of a kind. It reduces the bandwidth of possibilities. This really goes with the first point. And the third point, which is somewhat subtle, is that for information to be valuable, it must be used. The contestant that stayed with the original selection was given the information but did not utilize it. Valuable information became useless. Information is valuable when it is both useful and used. Think about imaging. Think about scenarios where we just want to know for the sake of knowing. That sort of situation, if the information does not change the management, it is not valuable, or I should say it is not as valuable. It must do something tangible for it to be useful. So let us summarize and emphasize how the value of imaging, or the value of information from imaging, would be considered valuable by using the Monty-Hall analogy. In a sense, imaging opens the door and reveals a diagnosis, or even its absence. Note, even revealing the absence of a diagnosis, a goat, so to speak, is valuable. Information must reduce the bandwidth of possibilities. If the number on the differential diagnoses list was 10 before the physician ordered the test, it must narrow to 3, not increase to another 20. Crucially, information, whether a positive test or negative test, must change the management, or must be ordered with that intention in mind. A key component of a value of the radiologist is the knowledge asymmetry. The radiologist knows which diagnoses are or are not plausible, based on the imaging. The requester of information does not. In that sense, the radiologist is Monty-Hall himself, and the clinician is the contestant. So let us stand back and think about the value of a radiologist. What do we actually do? We limit the number of doors. We provide information, not noise. That is what we say is not random. We increase the diagnoses. We increase the odds that a diagnosis is reached. Importantly, reaching the diagnosis is of value. And how would we know that reaching the diagnosis is of value? Because the clinician is prepared to change the management. I'm going to end this lecture with one of my favorite lines from Alice in Wonderland. Alice is having a conversation with the Cheshire Cat. She asks, "Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here?" "That depends a good deal on where you want to get to," said the cat. "I don't much care where," said Alice. then it doesn't matter which way you go, said the cat. This line beautifully demonstrates that value of information is a two-way street. If your referring clinician doesn't care much what you have to say, then what you have to say, no matter how sophisticated, is not valuable. Thank you for listening.